Alright folks, today we're going to learn about the relationship between frequency and time. Okay, so frequency is measured in hertz or kilohertz, and time is measured in seconds or milliseconds. Okay, why is it not called kiloseconds? I don't know. Probably because that's smaller than a second and kilohertz is bigger than a hertz. That's probably why. So here's the relationship. Hertz, 1000 hertz equals 1 kilohertz. Okay, 2000 hertz equals 2 kilohertz. So kilo means 1000, right? 1000 hertz. Seconds works the opposite way. There are 1000 milliseconds in 1 second. Okay, and there are 2000 milliseconds in 2 seconds. Okay, so all of this is going to be important when you're figuring out these. So if you want to know how many milliseconds something is, if I have 500 milliseconds, how many seconds is that? We'll do a little Blue's Clues thing, give you a couple seconds to figure it out yourself. 500 milliseconds is 0.5 seconds. What you can always do is assume there's a decimal at the end here, and you move the decimal over 3 spots right there. So now it is 0.5. So if I have 200 milliseconds, how many seconds is that? So here's my decimal, 1, 2, 3 spots, 0.2 seconds. Okay, then with the hertz and the kilohertz, it's the opposite. If I have, well, yeah, okay, let's say I have 2500 hertz. How many kilohertz is that? Move the decimal over, 2, 3, 2.5 kilohertz. Okay, all right, let's delete that. Now, frequency refers to how often a wave, that was terrible, come on Arnold, there we go, that's a little better. How often a wave will make a complete 180 degrees. Okay, up and then down and back to its starting point. So if this is 1 second, that's 1 second long, and the wave does 1 complete circuit and it takes 1 second, that means this wave is at the frequency of 1 hertz. Okay, and that's pretty much the smallest one that we measure. Humans cannot hear this frequency. Imagine that. How long is this wave, right? If it takes 1 second to pass through a point, and we know it's going at 1100 feet per second, that's really fast, right? It still takes 1 second to go through there. That's a long wave. So 1 hertz goes at 1 second. That means 2 hertz is half of a second, right? Because it's twice as fast. It would go like that. In half a second, it has made a complete thing. So 3 hertz would be basically a third of a second, 0.33, something like that. and so on. 4 hertz, 0.25 seconds. So we could keep doing this forever, or you can learn this simple fraction or equation here. So the time equals 1 divided by the frequency. Okay? And also the opposite is true. The frequency equals 1 divided by the time. Okay? So if you know either the time in seconds or the frequency in hertz, then you can figure this out. Okay, so time equals seconds, frequency equals the hertz. All right, let's do a couple examples. I'll leave these equations here. So if I have a frequency of 100 hertz, how fast is that going? How many seconds or milliseconds does it take? 100 hertz. Okay, so that's my frequency right here. So I'm going to plug that in. Time equals 1 over 100. So what's 1 divided by 100? 1/100th. I think it's, geez, I don't even know. Let's pull up our calculator. 1 divided by 100 equals 0.01. Okay, so time equals 0.01. 0.01 seconds. That's not a very useful number though in seconds. When I'm counting something, oh, that's going to take 0.01 seconds. No, you don't say that. Let's convert that to milliseconds, okay? So if you want to go from seconds to milliseconds, you move the decimal to the right 3 times. 1, 2, we're at the end of the number, so let's add another 0, 3. So that equals 10 milliseconds. And that's our answer. 100 hertz equals 10 milliseconds. Milliseconds. That's the abbreviation for it. Okay, let's try this again. All right. What about if we have a frequency of 200 hertz? Okay, how fast is that going? All right, so time equals 1 over 200. You can try and figure that out in your head if you want, or we can go 1 divided by 200, 0.005. Time equals 0.005 seconds, right? How many milliseconds is that? 1, 2, 3, 5 milliseconds. That's our answer. Okay, now let's do the opposite. If I have a frequency that is, let's say it is 20 milliseconds long. What frequency takes 20 milliseconds to pass through a point? Well, frequency equals 1 divided by 20. Ooh, except time is in seconds, right? Not in milliseconds. So it's not 1 divided by 20. It's 1 divided by, how many seconds is this? 1, 2, 3. 0.02. Okay, so let's delete this. 1 divided by 0.02 seconds. Ooh, that's tricky. Where are your calculator? 1 divided by 0.02. 50 hertz. 50 hertz takes 20 milliseconds. Alright, that was probably confusing, so let's try that again. Okay. Because, like I said, 1 second equals 1 hertz, so you're not going to get any frequency that's that's a higher number than 1 second, right? So we measure them in milliseconds usually. Let's get rid of this. Alright, what if I've got 70, let's say 700 milliseconds. Is there a frequency for that? How many seconds is it? Let's do that first. 1, 2, 3 equals 0.7 seconds. So frequency equals 1 divided by 0.7. And the answer is 1 divided by 0.7. Shh, that's not a real frequency. 1.4 hertz. Crazy, Arnold. Why don't you give us real frequencies, okay? Alright. Let's try, okay. What frequency do we get with 1 millisecond? Well, how many seconds is that? Let's do that first. 1 millisecond equals 1.1, 0.01, 0.001. 0.001 seconds. Okay, so frequency equals 1 over 0.001. I'm not about to try and figure that out in my head. 1 divided by 0.001 equals 1,000 hertz. Is there an easier way to write that? There sure is. You remember 1 kilohertz. 1 kilohertz equals 1 millisecond. Yeah? How about that? Alright. Let's see if we can do it without these equations here, okay? What if we've got a 20 kilohertz frequency? How fast is that sucker going? 20 kilohertz. That's the fastest frequency we can hear. You probably can't hear it anyway, but some people can. Babies, I guess. 20 kilohertz. Well, first of all, let's change that into hertz. So that equals 20,000 hertz. Okay. So time equals 1 divided by 20,000. What's that, calculator? 1 divided by 20,000 equals, oh, I need that to stay up. Oh, where'd it go? 0.000, 4 zeros and then a 5. Time equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And remember, what unit is this? This is seconds. So how many milliseconds is that? Let's move our decimal to the right. So 1, 2, 3. Decimal goes right there, so it's still 0.05 milliseconds. Let's write this the right abbreviation, milliseconds. Wow, that is fast. 20 kilohertz goes through you in 0.05 milliseconds. That's crazy fast. Okay, let's do an opposite one. If we know the time, okay, so let's say I have 0.5 milliseconds. That's really fast as well. Not quite as fast as 20 kilohertz, but let's see what it is. Okay, so first, how many seconds is that? We've got to convert it to seconds, so we move the decimal to the left 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to add 3 zeros. Okay, so 0.005 seconds is 0.5 milliseconds. Okay, so then frequency equals 1 over 0.0005. Where are you? There we go 1 divided by 0.0005. 2000 frequency equals 2000 hertz. How many kilohertz is that? 2 kilohertz. Because we go 1, 2, 3 like that. 2 kilohertz. Okay. Piece of cake. So again, that is just referring to how many times it's going to do a complete, that means this one, it will do 2000 complete circuits in 1 second. That's basically what it means. Whereas 1 hertz will do 1 in 1 second. So make sure and learn this, and we've got a bunch of practice things you can do until you are pretty sure you know it, and then you will be ready for the final exam and you're going to ace this sucker. Good luck.